Welcome to the nightly vid, and we're going to see how fast we can get it done tonight. That being said, to start the week, you will have inside week down SPY, just slightly lower than last week's lows, still inside month. If we are still inside month, we are at risk of rev strat to the upside. We do have NVIDIA earnings coming out Wednesday, so turnaround Tuesday might just be a little bit less interesting. We got a lot of inside days like AMD, TSM, Palantir, NVIDIA, Oracle, Meta, a lot of these bigger names. More than likely, we're not going to get too much tomorrow, but we will see. But yeah, prior to NVIDIA's earnings, it seems like a lot of things are waiting on that. That being said, if we go to the Qs, you will see inside day. Inside month, closer to last month's lows. Dow Jones, you'll see a little different. Went 2 down day, shooter week down and already hit its magnitude. So didn't have much to go after, but $4 there. Then IBM, 3-2 week to the downside. So we still have some follow through, right? And if we look at our statistics here, and again, I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to show you guys this, but if you look at our stats here, this week, basic materials, cyclicals, energy's not so much, consumer staples, not so much. Those are still firm. A lot of inside weeks here. You see about half of those sectors. Financials 70% down. That's a problem, right? Healthcare's about 70% of those inside, so not much going down. Industrials, real estates, technologies. So you see still some issues. However, most of the market is about half inside, half going down, a little bit going up. And that's what we see. So the question is, going into tomorrow, right? Do we change any of that? To start the week off, we saw some rotation into utilities. Still buying in some healthcare, still buying in some energies. So does that stay true? And do they continue buying those sectors in the energies, healthcares, utilities, or not? And do we see things change? That being said, if we go and look at something like the healthcares, you can see to start off the week here, this is really cool stuff. You can see in the first couple of minutes of the day, you get about 30% of the healthcares going down. And then you can see about 50% of those going down by 10 o'clock in the morning. And then boom, the rest of the day, you got about 80% of the sector going down. So it's just so cool. You can see they start the day off, a lot of things inside, and then notice all of those insides become twos to the downside, and then just boom. And it's really cool because when you see that, you can go in there. What's going to cause XLF to go further down? Inside 60 at 10:30 in the morning. So you can see right here. This occurs at 11:30, the rev strat to the downside. So they sold the first hour, the second hour, and then inside. If we go back to the stats, right, you can see the first hour of the day, 8:30. Second hour, 9:30, you got 45% going down. 10:30, right, you got about 57% going down. And then all of a sudden, a little bit later, about noon, that's when it peaks up again. You get this gigantic drop, right? So you can see the 60 signal, and then boom, afternoon, they just get wrecked. So really cool stuff, being able to track that. It's going to be very fun to check this out intraday tomorrow. And you can see utilities a little bit of the opposite, right? They come in, boom, about half of that sector goes to the upside, then they kind of just stayed firm the rest of the day. But really, really cool stuff. That being said, right, healthcares are having issues, or financials, are having issues. Not so much, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, they don't look the worst, right? They're pretty red, yes. They have some weekly signals back down with XLF taking the week down, as well as the month continuation. But nothing got, incredibly wrecked on our banks list. If we go to regionals, those are a little worse. Regionals, boom, right? And we pointed this out. They went rev strat to the downside. Now they're still inside month. But obviously they are weaker than the rest of the market, a little closer to taking out the quarter again. So we'll see, but that is where we see weakness to start the week. That being said, here's your watch list. So inside days going into tomorrow, this is what we got. You'll see TSM, Qs, Palantir, Oracle, a lot of these AI names, right? And you got NVIDIA earnings coming out, which seems to be the needle mover. But you'll see Meta, right? And then some other names, BE. This is an interesting one. Supposedly it's a good AI energy play. I'm not sure, if it's going to firm up right here, right now, but you got inside day. So while the market did go down, this did not. So we'll be watching that tomorrow, along with SoFi and then Quantum's RGTI. You go SoFi inside day, could take the week down, and a lot of people are trying to buy that one. RGTI inside day, still 2 month down. So RGTI, that could be issues, especially if you gap up sell. QBT could become the 2-2 on a Tuesday. QBTS inside as well. IonQ could become 2-2 on a Tuesday. So all the quantums, right, come into play here. We get back in here, you'll see SoFi and MP are in there, which are a little bit more interesting, not as correlated to those NVIDIA earnings, although, you know, they're kind of correlated. And then APLD, you'll see the inside day in here, and this is when we found this triangle expando. This inside day may keep that expanding to the downside, so they might have issues. And we'll add that to the list here. If we go 2 down in green, LLY, so VKTX, CAH, healthcare names. So you'll see LLY. We did have this hammer rev strat, which was a really nice move, about 10%. And you can see this rev strat occurred with everything going up. Right? This is just what you look for. That's trading for you. If we go to VKTX, you'll see the hammer in here. Everything would be green, but we're inside week doji month. So a little bit trickier there, but we have the healthcares going up. So not as much on the 2 down in green list. Hammers, Amazon. So Amazon hammer counter shooter. Add that to the list. It is conflicted, so if that fails, right, they could try and test the lows again. They test the highs, they test the lows. If they fail to the upside, they'll try and test those lows one more time. 2 up in red, you'll see, you know, Microsoft, some more tech, MU, Pan W, Roblox. That's more interesting. Snow, RBRK. So let's take a look at those guys. And this is a new thing we're actually going to be releasing soon. For those interested, and it's going to be our watch list product. So if you're interested in what you're seeing here, Black Friday is coming around. We're going to have a good deal on it. Probably one of the best deals that we possibly could give you. So you can definitely take a look. But if we go and take a look at GE, closer to the 3-2 week down, below 2985 as a pivot machine gun. So that does become more interesting. Put a star next to it. We like PMGs because that can speed price up. Might be able to drop 3%. And if they really get after it, they can drop like 5% tomorrow. Microsoft, you can see a little 2 up in red. Still inside week. It is 2 down month. So if that works, it would trigger the week down, which would take the month down and pivot machine gun all these guys. So maybe, right? A lot of this has to do with NVIDIA earnings. So we will add it to the list, but we just got to remember tomorrow. We don't have to be all gung-ho right at the open. They might hold off a little bit. Pan W. It's got the potential 2-2 day down. It is at the bottom of the range. Would occur with full time frame continuity up to the month. So maybe. Right? Roblox. These guys are in trouble, right? Red on the quarter. So if you're looking for relative weakness, Roblox taking last quarter's lows, that's an issue for Roblox guys. So that becomes more interesting to us. And it's called a relative strength and relative weakness. You want to know about that. RBRK also taking last quarter's lows. That's something we want to know about. It becomes more interesting to us. And just to bring your attention there, we'll make sure to have those stars. And then Snow. So you can see Snow still a 2 up month. It is 2 up in red. So maybe they have the 2-2 back down. Still green on the quarter. So we'd still prefer to be buying that one. Now let's see what we have on the bearish side of the shooters. ALB in the materials, a little bit of a shooter day, but you're conflicted, right? Bright green month, bright green quarter. It is short-term exhaustion risk. So you could try and cause some of those long guys to get out of there. Charter, oh goodness, right? You'll see this one. If you were with us last year, we saw this inside year down and then outside year this year, just get destroyed with the 3-2 reversal quarter. So we go to that week, you'll see earnings week, boom, expansion, gone. The slight higher high, gone. Destroyed. Now it is a shooter counter hammer day, so we got momentum to the downside. Mind the spreads on that. That Charter used to have really bad spreads. Maybe they're better now. Obviously, they've been moving. CLS. Let's see. So they've been steadily increasing those earnings. Obviously, they've been killing it right off this hammer month. Look at this. 3 earnings reports, still good, up to 300% off the hammer month. That's something pretty cool. Now it is 2 up in a red month, but maybe a shooter day on a Tuesday. Right? We'll see. Question mark on CLS. Never traded it. ELF. Shooter day to cause the inside week down from the weekend vid. And one way to really, hone in is stick to the weekend vid, right? So you can just stick to things that have those weekly signals with daily signals, which is something we look for, right? So ELF, that's definitely something we'll be looking at. GEV, no idea what these guys do. I know they've been a pretty big gainer over recent times. Looks like their earnings went flat, so there's flattening out. Still pretty inside month at this point. If we go to Google, shooter day after top of the broadening formation in the AI names. Now, it's not the greenest on the month. Are they going to be able to bring it all the way back in? Maybe. We'll put it there with Microsoft. And again, with the NVIDIA earnings, we're just not certain, right? Like LRCX, you got the shooter day here, but you got NVIDIA earnings soon. So, whatever that does may not stick around that long. MOH, the 3-2 month expansion down. Oh yeah, look at these guys, destroyed. This is why you love when you get out of a previous range and stay out. Look at this, ranging 2022 to 2025. Boom, exits the range, gets destroyed for 50% almost. And this can still get destroyed further. So the shooter day MOH, that may want to stick it to them, right? It's going right into the lows though, so it's momentum, as we call it. Same with SNPS from the monthly vid, right? Inside month down. It's getting close to its pivot targets. You see how this inside month time the top of that range. Now, if we take a look at this stuff, daily shooter to cause continuation week, continue the monthly signal. So shooter confirms the month. Everyone would be a seller there. So they might get killed. Maybe. I'll just put that with the Google stuff. It's one of your bigger tech names. Here's some names I'm not sure of. SSRM. Maybe SSRM rev strat weak to the downside for your weekend vid or weekend signal lists. And then TSM, or T-Mobile, my bad. Nah, maybe. So a lot of maybes. Let's see what we got for outside days. So AbbVie in the healthcare is outside day hammer. That's in the healthcares, which we know does have evidence to the upside. So we do have some focus there. CVS, the outside day shooter. And that is XLV as well. But if that was successful, it could change into full time frame continuity down. And then all of a sudden, whoever's buying in healthcare is they're selling CVS. That's no good. DKNG, outside day shooter with the 2-2 week down, sports betting. And I really wonder if the trade there is, short DKNG, long Robinhood, because, these guys are at the bottom of the triangle, but Robinhood might turn into a bigger sports betting company. We got Etsy. We love Etsy because we alerted the short for our short guys. You'll see the shooter day here, which reclaims all this stuff. Boom, shooter day, down they go. And if you recall from our monthly video, we said this, right? We'd want to be short Etsy something like this, ideally around that 65 area, which, you know, is where high of the month went. And we're going to the downside. As far as when we alerted the short, it was right here around 60.42. But really good stuff there. We'll see if that goes expansion or not. That's from our monthly vid. Got to make sure you're watching those monthly signals. My question is, do we have any bullish ones, right? Not much. Starbucks, the outside day to the downside. We got the weekly to the downside as well. Nice daily triangle. So if this works, boom, 7%. That'd be nice. Then communications, real estates, XLV healthcares with the shooter outside bar with CVS. So that makes CVS actually much more interesting with XLVs there. So I will add that in. A lot more stars next to it. And that's because, right, if healthcare ticks down here, anyone long in this stuff, you know, this whole quarter, since when we called it out on our quarterly vid, right, they're good. It's up 12%. Now, if you were long healthcares and you're buying CVS, where's the quarterly open? I don't know if it actually shows it on this one. Oops. Nope. It's this one here. There's better ones, but whatever. You see, this is the quarter open. So if this works, right, all of a sudden, anyone that bought this quarter in CVS, they're screwed. Whereas when you look at XLV, anyone that bought this quarter XLV, they're fine. So we want to cause people to get screwed. So maybe, right, off the slight higher high in CVS here, longer term, we did call the bottom down here. If you recall, off the inside month, right, looking for CVS to go all the way back up there. So longer term, that's where we're looking. Shorter term, maybe some triangle layout, right? Take them to the downside. So we'll be watching that, but that is all I've got for you guys tonight. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the nightly vid. It did take a little longer than expected, but I will see you guys bright and early tomorrow. And again, no reason to go crazy gung-ho, right? We got NVIDIA earnings. And, you know, if you wanted to trade those NVIDIA earnings, you should have been trading it weeks ago to make winning trades to hold through that, risking the market's money, not yours. So we're just going to wait on that and see what they have. But adios and have a good rest of your night.